Hi, and welcome to Create a Form in Python using Tkinter, offered to you by the Clifton Park-Halfmoon Library. My name is Scott Bartow, and this is a one class session to teach you how to use Python's GUI interface, which is a graphical. GUI stands for GUI stands for Graphical User Interface, and by using Tkinter in Python, you're able to create a form. And in this class, we're going to be learning how to create the form, have the user enter data into the form, and have that data saved out to a text file. So when you download Python version 3 or 3.0 or higher, Tkinter is automatically downloaded with Python. So if you have Python downloaded on your machine, then you should be able to reference and use Tkinter to create forms in Python. Now, if you look at the left of my screen, but if you look at the right, I have the Python shell brought up, which is the command line for Python. And on the left-hand side, you have idle, IDLE, which is the text editor that you're going to be using today in this class. And idle and the Python shell are both downloaded with your version of Python onto your computer. So it's the Python shell, idle, and Tkinter are all three things that come included with your Python download. For those of you who haven't downloaded Python to your computer yet, simply go out to python.org and download version 3. I think now it's 3.7 something. So download version 3. There's a version 2 point something, but that's an older version that we won't be using today. So the way to get started is we want to import the Tkinter library. And the way to do that, you open up a brand new idle session, right? So when you bring up idle on your computer, what you'll do is figure this out. Let's see how we can wipe this out. A little bit distracting. Let me bring my idle screen down a little bit. Let's see. Idle. Here we go. Let me just pause for a second and get set up. So now I have things set up a whole lot better. So what we've got is on the right-hand side, I've got my Python shell. So to open up a new session in idle, in the Python shell to the right, I would click on File and New File, and that brings up a new idle session, which you can see on the left-hand side of my screen. All right, and in the idle session, which is our text editor, we're going to start by importing the Tkinter library. So the way to do this is you do from Tkinter import star or asterisk, and that will import all of Tkinter into our program. all the different functions, all the different tools that we can use to create a graphical user interface. So that's how you import Tkinter. Then the next line, what we will do is we're going to create a screen. And we'll initialize our screen. So the way to do that is you type in screen, which is a variable name, equals capital T, lowercase k for Tkinter, parentheses. All right. So this is going to initialize our screen. So I'm going to put some comments into this program so that you'll have a better idea of what the different lines of code are doing. And the way to put a comment into a Python program is by using a hashtag or #. So for the first line, I'll say import Tkinter library. All right. Then on the next line, all right, I will add the comment, initialize screen. All right. So now, also with the screen, you want to have screen dot geometry. And for this exercise, I'm just going to make it 500 by 500, 500 pixels by 500 pixels. You should just enter the number. You don't have to enter pixels. So 500 S for by and 500. Oh, sorry. And these dimensions have to be surrounded by quotes. I'll use double quotes. Quote, and I'll close it out with a parenthesis. And then I will do a comment. So this is a geometry of the screen. 500. All right. Now the last command we need to set up our screen is we're going to give it a title. So screen dot title. Now dot geometry dot title. These are methods that are coming from the Tkinter library. Screen is the variable name that we're giving, the Python variable name. You can call it whatever you want, but screen, the variable name screen makes a whole lot of sense when you're setting up your screen. And the title we're going to give this is, how about Python, oops, sorry, has to be surrounded by quotes, so double quote Python, let's say Tkinter form. Quotes, and I'll close it out with a parenthesis, all right? And give it a comment, screen title. All right. Okay, next, we want to work on the heading. So we will create a variable named heading equals, and we're going to use the command label. And in parentheses, we're going to pass it a few parameters. So we have text equals double quotes. And we'll say Python Tkinter form double quotes, comma, because we're going to do another parameter. So background, BG stands for background color or background. And we will do, we're going to do gray. quotes, comma. And FG stands for foreground, so FG equals, and we'll say the foreground is going to be black. And we can modify these backgrounds and foregrounds later to be different colors. Maybe things that stand out. All right, and now we'll separate these parameters with a comma. And the next one we're going to do is we're going to give it a width equal to 500, comma, and a height C equal to 3. So this heading, and I'll close it out with a closing parenthesis. All right, so that's our heading. And it's going to print on the top of the form, Python Tkinter form, with a background of gray, a foreground of black, and we're going to make it the full width of the screen. Remember, our screen was set up to be 500 by 500. So we'll do the full length of the screen, and we'll only do like 3 pixels high. So now in Tkinter, the next thing we have to do for our heading is we have to use pack, which will center the heading. And so pack is a Tkinter method, and it will, we won't pass it any parameters. So we'll have, after the method name pack, we'll have open and closing parentheses. And I'll do a comment. So this is put label. How about heading label? Label in center of the screen. All right. So remember, this is how you do comments in Python. You use the hashtag, and you can see in my idle session that when you do a hashtag, everything after it, everything turns red. The hashtag and to the right. That's because it's just a comment for the programmer's use, not by the computers. So at this point, why don't we go ahead and run this? All right. So I'm going to do a file, or I'm going to do a up here in the toolbar. I'm going to click on run, and then I'm going to run. I'm going to do the third option, which is run module. And first time through, I'm going to have to save my file. So I click OK. And it will ask me, it'll bring up File Explorer. And it will ask me, where do I want to save this? So I will click hard drive, and I'll do online classes, and I will do what else? Python Tkinter. And I'm going to call this Python. Oops. In the file name, I'm going to name it Python form using camel case, or using the first letter of each word in the file name. I'm making capitalized, so capital P for Python, capital F for form, dot, and then py is the extension that we use for all Python programs. So Python form.py is what is the file name I'm going to save it as. I save it, and once it's saved, it's going to run over in the Python shell. And you can see off to the right, the Python shell, the prompt is 3 greater than signs. And you can see over here that it ran successfully. There are no errors. And then off to the left, it brought up the actual Python Tkinter form. And so what we did was we set up a screen. First, we imported the Tkinter library. Then we set up a screen that was 500 by 500. Then what we did was we created a heading with a background of gray and a foreground of the text is going to be in black, with a width of 500, so it goes across the screen, and a height of only 3. And that's what we see. And then we also gave it a screen title. So up here we have Python Tkinter form was the title that we gave it. All right, so you can close out the form. And let's get back to our idle session off to the left. And let's move forward by adding some form fields to our Tkinter form. So this form is going to have 3 fields. You're going to have first name, last name, and age. All right, so let's do, we're going to create a variable, first name underscore text. Now remember, in Python, variable names have to start with a letter, and the names can only include alpha characters, letters or numbers, or the underscore. No other special characters are allowed, simply the underscore. And there's no spaces, so this shouldn't be, this variable name in Python can't be first name space text. You have to use the underscore for it, or I should have called it first name text without the underscore. So this is the variable name I'm giving to for the label of the first field that we're going to include on our form, which is first name. So first name underscore text is going to equal to, and I'm going to call up the function label, just like we did up above where we're using the function label for our heading. This time we're using label for our first field, which we're going to give it the heading, the label of first name, and then a colon, right, and a space, and then double quotes, and then close parenthesis, right? And I'm going to give this a nice little comment, which we use the hashtag, and I'll say create field label. Actually, why don't I do this above? All right. So I'm going to put this above these field labels. So we'll give it the comment up here. So how about create field labels, ELS. All right, and then down below, all right, here I'm going to create next label, next field label, last name, oops. Last name underscore text equals label, parentheses, and this will be last name. Colon, space, double quotes. All right, and then the final one is going to be age underscore text equals label, parentheses, age, colon, space, double quotes, and parentheses. Okay, so now I got 3 labels for our 3 fields that we're going to be including in our form. And let's see. what's next? Now we have to put those labels somewhere, right? So up above, when we added the heading to our screen, we used a method called pack without any parameters, and that puts the item heading, in this case, right in the center of the screen. Well, with our labels, we want them to be off to the left. So we're going to use a method instead of pack. In Tkinter, we're going to use a method called place. So I'll take the, let's see, I'll take the first label, first name, underscore text, right, dot place, parentheses, and with place, you have to give it an X and Y coordinate. So for X, which goes horizontal, we're just gonna have it go in 15 from the left. So in 15 pixels, comma, and then Y, we're gonna have it go, the first field, we're gonna have it go 70 down, oops, and parentheses, and that's it, all right? And why don't I add a nice comment above these placements, and I'll just say place label, field labels on the screen using S and Y coordinates. All right. Okay. And now I have to do the same for last name and age. So last name underscore text, oops, underscore text dot place. And here I'm going to have the same X coordinate, right? I want 15 pixels in from the left. X is horizontal, Y is vertical. Equals 15, comma, Y is going to equal 140, parentheses. And then lastly, we have age underscore text, place, X equals 15, and then Y is going to equal 210. All right. Okay, so that's how you create the field labels, and that's also how you place those field labels. So we're ready to run again. Remember, you come up to the toolbar, you click on Run, you click on the third option, Run Module. Now we've already saved the file, so all you have to do is click OK, and it will save it again and run it. All right, so I got a little error. All right, let me just pause this. All right, so I figured out what my problem was. If you go back up to the create fields, well, if you look above that, when we created the heading label, we had heading equals label, parentheses, text equals, and then the text that we wanted for our heading. And I didn't put in, inside the parentheses, I didn't do text equals. So I've added it here down by the first name. And now I have to do it for the last name and age. So it's text equals, and then the text you want for the label. And for age also, you have to have text equals, and then the age. So we should be all set to run again. So go up to the toolbar, click run module. And let's see what happens. There we go. All right. So if you look to the left, you can see our Python form, our Tkinter form. It's got the heading, Python Tkinter form. It's got the three labels that we just created, first name colon, last name colon, and age colon. And you see how they're separated by having, we have an X coordinate of 15, so we pushed it in from the left, 15 pixels. And then we have a Y coordinate that's 70 for first name, 140 for last name, and 210 for age, which makes them go vertically down, so they're not on top of each other. All right, let's close out the form. And now what we need to do is here. All right. So the next step is to create an entry. All right. So we have our labels for first name, last name, and age. Now we have to create our entries for these. So these will be all text boxes. And what I'll do is I will create, let's create the field entry boxes. All right, and the way to do that is we're going to create a variable first name, a straight first name. It's going to equal, we're going to say string, I'm sorry, string var. So capital S string, capital var, V var, parenthesis, parenthesis, hit enter. All right, so we have to create the 3 entry boxes. All right, so I have, for first name, I have first name equals string var, parenthesis, parenthesis. All right, hit enter. Oops. Let's see, I gotta go down here. Hit enter, okay, so that's first name. Now we have to do last name equals string var, parenthesis, parenthesis. And finally we have age equals, now age is a number or an integer, right? And we're gonna have int var, parenthesis, parenthesis. All right, so that's how we create our 3 entry boxes. Now, if we ran this, we wouldn't see these entry boxes, just the next step is to place the entry boxes. So I'll do a comment, and this will be on place, entry, having trouble spelling, place the entry boxes on the screen. And once again, we're going to use SY coordinates. So the first entry, let's say that was, create those variables. Now we have to create the entry. So what we'll do, actually, this isn't the placement yet, sorry. So we created the variables that will hold the values, but now we have to create the actual entry boxes, the text boxes. So up here I'll say field value variables. All right. And down here I'll say create the field entry boxes. So this is going to be first name. We'll create a variable named first name underscore entry equals, entry is a method in Tkinter, so entry text variable equals first name, right? That's our value variable, first name, comma, and we're going to make the box width of 30, because the first name should be kind of longer, and 30 has to be surrounded in quotes, and then close it out with a parenthesis. All right, so let's do the second field entry box. So it's going to be last name underscore entry equals the method entry text variable equals, and then we have the value variable name, last name, comma, width is going to equal, and we'll give this 30 pixels too. close out with a parenthesis, hit enter. And then finally we have age entry. Oops. Shift. Age entry. And equal entry, parentheses, text, variable equals age, comma, and now this width is just going to be 5 instead of 30 because age is not going to be very big. Close it out with parentheses, and we're all done. Now, so we got the field value variables, and we have the entry box field entry box value variables, and so now we have to place these entry box variables. So let's see where we are. So now I'm going to do a comment. So I'll say place the entry box on the screen. All right, so the first one is going to be first name. Let's go down farther. All right. So first name. So we'll start with the first entry box, which is first name entry dot. Sorry. Dot. Oops. Dot place. Remember doing place before with the field labels. So place, and once again in parentheses, the parameters that you're passing for the place method is an x coordinate and a y coordinate. So once again, I'm gonna have to pause again. Sorry, got another ambulance coming by. So, so what we need for the place method is an x coordinate. So once again, we're gonna place the entry boxes just right underneath the field labels. So for first name, we're going to place the entry box. We're still going to go 15 pixels from the left. So we're going to have x equal to 15, just like the field label. And then y for first name was was 70. So what we're going to do is we're going to make this 100. All right. And you should play with this to get things lined up exactly the way you want them to. And like the entry box doesn't have to go underneath the label. It should go off to the right of the label. There's plenty of forms. Some put the entry box underneath the label, some put it to the right. And so now I have to do a placement for last name, entry, underscore entry, dot place, parenthesis, and we're going to do s equal to 15. And y is going to be equal to 170. Hit enter. And then finally, we're going to have age underscore entry dot place, parenthesis, x is going to equal to 15, y will be equal to 240. And hit enter. And at this point, I think we're ready to run again and see those entry boxes. All right. Okay, so sorry. right, so that's 170. So let's run it. So do run module. Okay, I've got a little error here. Let's see what this is. This variable. You can see our three field labels: first name, last name, and age. But let's see, there's an error on, where is it? Let's see, the bottom of a Python shell. Python shell, once you run a program, will tell you what the error is. Name string var is not defined. Oops. String var is not defined for last name. Oh, I have a typo. You can see in the Python shell, down here in red, I've got last name equals string var. So I forgot the R. And it should be string var. So let me correct that. Let me minimize this. All right. So where is that? Way up here for last name, I have string var or string var. Now I have string var. Let's run it again. So do run module. All right. Click OK to save it. Oh, still have an error. Okay. Let's see what's going on. I'll close out our form. And I will click on here. Come on. I'm filling up the Python shell. Let's see, unknown option text. Oh, I've got a, if you look in the Python shell, it's giving me an error that says, at the bottom says, unknown option, way down here, dash text variable. Not sure which one that's in. First name, so dash text variable. Let me go back to the idle session. And where are we using the text variable? We're using it right here. Entry, text variable, and text variable equals age, width equals that. All right, let me see if I can figure this out. I don't want to take up your time. So I'm just going to pause session. All right, so I have another typo, and it's up here where I'm trying to create the field entry boxes. So for first name, I have first name underscore entry equals entry, parenthesis text variable. And what in the word text variable, I'm missing an A. Oops. So if I click right here, it should be VARIABLE. And that's what I have for last name, and that's what I have for age. So I think, hopefully I have all my errors out of my code now. All right, and let's run this, baby. Yeah, all right. So I have no errors in the Python shell. And if you look at our Tkinter form, we have first name with an entry box, last name with an entry box, and age with an entry box that has the default of 0 because age is an int. And so let's let's try it. All right, so I go here, I enter, say, David, and last name Hill, age 34, and then that's it, right? So what we need is a button to be able to submit. So that's the next thing we're going to work on. All right. So let's add our button. Okay, so let's add a button down below. All right, I'll put a comment in. Add registration. How about register button? Hit enter. And hit enter a few more times. All right, so what we need is a variable. We're going to call it register equals, and then button is the method, and we're going to have text equals double quotes, and we're going to say register double quote, comma, with going to equal 10, double quotes, 10, comma, and then we need something called command equals save underscore info, and then close parentheses. So, nope, wrong place. All right, so command equals the function save underscore info. All right, so now let's place our button named register. So register dot place. Remember, we're using x and y coordinates, right? So x, in this case, we're just going to make it equal to 0, comma, and then y is going to equal to. I remember the age entry box was at a y of equal to 240, so we're going to make this y equal to 300. To really put it down the screen, we're not going to indent it from the left by having an x coordinate of 0. And so at this point, let's run it again and see if our button comes up. And we hit run module, and we do save. Right? And no button. Register.place equals that. And let's see what's going on. So if we go to our Python shell, all right, let's see what the problem is. Button. So if you leave the bottom of the Python shell, you can see name error, name, save, space, info. It's not defined. Name, space, info. Okay. All right. So, so that's the problem. All right. So let's just so I can show you what is happening. So that save underscore info is a function name that we're going to create. All right. So let me oops. That's not good. And let me try to get this correctly. All right, so we want this Python shell to be moved over. Sorry, this is taking a moment. All right, let's move this guy over. Okay, so the problem that we're having, or I'm having, is in our button, we gave it a text of register, we gave it a width of 10 pixels, and we have this command equal to the function save_info. Now we have to create this function later on. So for now, let's just wipe out command equals save_info. So I'll take that out until we create that function up above. And now I'm going to run this. Run module. And there it is. Okay. Now we have a register button. Now if I click on it, nothing will happen because it has to be tied by using the command equal to and then a function. That's what will allow it to actually do something. So here we go. Now we're going to create this function that we're calling save_info. All right, and we're going to do that towards the top of the screen. All right. So we got from Tkinter. All right, let me just expand this a little bit. All right. So from Tkinter, and we've got our screen all set up. Now we have to create this function that's going to save our information. All right. So what we'll do is we'll create a quick function, and we'll test it out. Make sure the register button actually does what we want. So right after we import Tkinter, so after the first line of our program, we're going to add the function here before we set up our screen. All right, so in Python, the way to do a function is you do def for define space, and then we're calling this function save_info, and then parentheses, no parameters at this time, and we follow that with a colon. Hit enter, and then inside the function, what we're going to do is we're just going to say print, which is a Python function, print hello world, exclamation point, double quotes, and there we go. All right, so now we have a function. All it's going to do when we hit the register button is print hello world. All right, so what we want to do is go down to the bottom again where we have our button defined. All right, so after we have width equal to 10, we'll put a comma here, and then we'll go back to command equals, and save info is the name of our function, All right. So we're calling the function, save function that we created up above at the top of our program. All right. So now let's give this a try. So I'm going to do run module. And we will save it. Up, invalid syntax error. Okay, so we got another problem here. Where is the problem? Save info. All right. So let's see what's going on. So I've got syntax error. Command equals save info. All right. So what else is the problem? What else did we add? We added def save underscore info parenthesis colon and then print hello world, and that should be it. So let me try and figure this out. So I have a syntax error. Let's see. All right. So my problem was that I had this random comma in my code that I had to delete out. So what we did was we added to the register button, added command equals save underscore info, which save underscore info is a function that we created up above at the top of our program. And inside our function, when the function is called, by clicking on the register button, the only thing right now that we have set up inside our function is that it is going to print hello world. So if I click on register button now off in the Python shell to the right, it should print hello world, and it does. So if you look over to the right of my screen at the bottom, it printed hello world, exclamation point. All right, so now I'm going to close out the form. I'm going to go back to the program, and let's go back up to the top. And what we'll do is we'll comment out the whole print. Print was just to test to see if the button was working with was being connected to the function that we're creating. All right, so I'll comment out print. Now inside our function, what we want to do is we want to save all three of these fields. When the user inputs into first name, last name, and age, we want to be able to save it and put it out to a text file. All right, so the first thing we'll do is have to indent inside the definition of the function. So I indented, and I'll do first name. I'm going to create a variable name, first name underscore info equals first name dot get parenthesis and enter. I'm going to do the same with last name and age. There is a difference with age that I'll show you when I get to it. So last name underscore info equals last name, right? First name and last name are the field variable, the field variables that hold the value that the user enters into the field. So last name dot get parenthesis, and finally we have age info equals age dot get. Now with age, since we're jumping into a text file, it doesn't want to dump using an integer. So age is the data type for age is an integer, but what we're going to do is we're going to convert that into a string. So we take age info, it grabs the age by doing age info equals age.get, and grabs the value of age that was entered by the user. And now we're going to convert it into a string by doing equals str for string age info. So age info equals string age info. All right. And then, so now we're going to do a test. We're going to do a print. And we're going to print out first name underscore info, comma, last name underscore, oops, last name underscore info, comma, age underscore info, and parenthesis, and let's run this test. So what's going to happen here is we're going to, as the user, we're going to enter in the first name and last name and age. We're going to hit the register button. The register button is going to come up to our save info function, and it's going to save the values that were entered into first name underscore info, last name underscore info, and age underscore info. And then it's going to print out those three values, which the printout you'll see in the Python shell. So if I do a run module, and I hit OK to save it. Yes, all right, good. So far, so good. Now in our form, I'm going to enter in David. Oops. David. Tab. And I'll do Hill again. And he's 34 years old. And I will, on the register button, I'm going to hit click, and nothing's happening. Let's see why. I don't see a print over in the Python shell. No errors. Oh, there it is. I didn't hit the register button hard enough. Okay, so once I hit the register button, if you look over to the right in the Python shell, at the bottom, I have David Hill, 34 years old. All right, so let's close out our form. All right, so that print was just a test. So once again, I can comment out this guy. And we'll do a hashtag. I was over in the Python shell, so now I'm going to click here, hashtag it, and I'm going to do this too. Oops. Hashtag this test. All right, so now we're ready to do other things inside this function. So hit enter and indent. And what we're going to do is we're going to say, now here's where we're going to write it out to the file. All right. All right, so we'll do file dot, or file space equals open. So we're going to open up a file. I'm going to call this file within double quotes. I'm going to call it user.txt, right, for a text file. Double quotes, comma, and then in double quotes, we're going to put a W, capital W, all right, and close it out. W for write, all right. You're going to open it up, and it's going to be ready to be written to. All right, so next, file dot write parenthesis, and what do we want? What's the variable that we want to use here? It's first name underscore info that we created up above that gets loaded with the value that the user enters into the form, info. All right, and parenthesis, and we have to do the same with the other field names, right? And we're going to do last name underscore info parenthesis file dot write parenthesis age underscore info parenthesis, and then we are going to, we've opened the file, set it up to be written to. We've written to the file the last name info, first name info, last name info, age info. Now we're going to do file.close and close the file out. And then lastly, we're going to do another test. All right, we're going to do print parenthesis, and we're just going to tell the user, hey, this is working. So user space, double quote, comma, and then first name underscore info, comma, and then I'll give it a space. So double quote, space, double quote, comma, and then last name underscore info, comma, double quotes, has been successfully registered, double quotes, parenthesis, right? So big long print. Let's run it. Let's see what happens. And actually run. All right. Let's see what happens with David Hill. All right, there it is. There's our form. All right, we're almost done. All right, so how about Luke Ranger? And he's 46. Hit tab. Now I'm on the register button. Once I hit click, this should save it out to a file, a text file called user.txt, and it will be in the same folder that my Python program's in. And also, it should print out what got sent to the test file. And the printout should say user Luke Granger has been successfully registered. All right, so let's see what happens. So I hit enter or register. Oh, doesn't like that. Invalid mode W. So I think this is a simple fix. So if I go, let's say, right here. So when I open up the file, I do a file.open. Let me show you. All right, so on this line, file equals open, parenthesis, user.txt or txt for the file name. And so the W is supposed to be a lowercase, lowercase, not uppercase. And I think that is my problem. So W stands for write. You're setting up, you're opening the file and you're preparing it to be written to. All right. All right, let's do a run module and hope for better things. Okay to save it. And I should see my form. There it is. And what was that guy's name? I called him Luke. Luke Ranger. And it was 46. And I'll hit enter. Put my cursor on the register button, hit enter, and there it is. All right. So if you look over to the right in the Python shell, it says user Luke space Ranger has been successfully registered, which is the print that I put into the function just to test it, make sure things are working. All right. So now Luke Ranger 46 should have been transferred over to and written to the user.txt file. Now, once again, that file will live in the same folder that your Python program is in. So what I'll do is I will go to Explorer, File Explorer in Windows, and let's take a look. Make sure the user.txt file was actually created and should have one entry of Luke Ranger 46. All right, so all right, let's see. I just have to get there. Come on, C drive. All right. Oh, where'd it go? Sorry, it's taking too long. Oops. All right, come on. We got to get out to the File Explorer. And I have to get to my folder. Here we are. Python Tkinter form. And here it is. User.txt. Let's see if it comes up. There it is. All right. So it brings up the file user.txt up in Notepad. And you can see the one entry, which is Luke Ranger 46. There it goes. All right. So that's how you create a form and write it out to a text file. All right. Now, the last thing we have to do, though, is when you enter information into the form, hit register. It doesn't clear out the form fields. All right. So you keep hitting register, and it would pass on to the text document the same information. So if I kept hitting register, the register button, it would say Luke Ranger 46, Luke Ranger 46, and never clears out the fields unless I typed over those fields. So what we're going to do is we're just going to add this last piece to our form. And what we're going to do is we're going to say first name underscore entry. Remember the underscore, this variable name, first name underscore entry, last name underscore entry, age underscore entry. These are all the text boxes for the fields. So that entry dot delete parenthesis, and then you want 0. Oops. Enter. I want 0, comma, and then in capital letters N parenthesis, and I want to do it the same with the other fields. So I hit enter. All right, so we have last name underscore entry dot delete parentheses 0, comma PND capitals. And finally age underscore entry dot delete parentheses 0, comma PND parentheses. All right, that's it. Now this, well, once you hit the register button, it comes up here and calls the save underscore info function. It will gather up the information that has been entered into the form. It'll write that information out to a text file, and it will clear up the 3 fields in our form, ready for the user to enter new information. All right, so I'm going to do a run. Everything looks good, so I'll do a run module, and let's click OK to save it. And here's our form. So I'll enter some new information in there. How about Mike? Or how about Sue? Sue Jensen. She's only 22. And I will say, when I hit register now, it should write out to the text file. We still have a print in there. So if you look at the Python shell off to the right of my screen, you'll see the print user Sue Jensen has been successfully registered. And now this time, all three of our fields, first name, last name, and age, should be cleared out, ready for the user to enter new information. All right, so I'm going to hit register, and our three fields are cleared. And we have our print statement off to the right, which that's only for testing. I mean, you don't have to have that in your function. It's up to you. And that's it. And it wrote that the Sue Jensen 22 information out to our user.txt text file in Notepad. And that's it. So this is how you can use Python's Tkinter GUI form maker to gather up information and post it to a text document. And I hope you've enjoyed this class, and look forward to seeing you in other classes offered by the Clifton Park-Halfmoon Library. Once again, my name is Jot Bartow, and thanks for joining me.